With that thought in mind, let's take a dive into the rabbit hole of TWA Flight 800.
Phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn a thirst and desire. You transform it up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes. Phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn a thirst and
Hey y'all, hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. I'm Sasha. Welcome back to my channel if you are new. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back my loyal royals. So good to see you. If you are new to the fam, welcome to the fam, my new loyal royals. So good to finally meet you. Welcome to Aviation Monday. And it's the first Monday in October. And as I mentioned in one of my previous aviation videos, the entire month of October will be Spooktober for aviation. This means this entire month, all aviation videos will be either crashes, mysteries, or incidents. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start it off with a, shall we say, a controversial crash mystery. Let's get it. Oh, and before I start, keep in mind, I will link sources down below. So this one, it's not recent. It didn't happen recent, but it also, I guess you can say, was recently given closure. Put it that way. So keep that in mind as a disclosure. Now, let's get to it. One thing that seems to annoy people more than anything are flight delays. This annoyance only seems to grow when folks are told, "We have been told to hold off on boarding while maintenance assesses an issue on board." I can understand the frustration, but as we have learned previously with Japan Airlines Flight 123, improper maintenance can lead to deadly disasters. But what happens when a true cause is mechanical failure, but the blame falls on alternate reasons? With that thought in mind, let's take a dive into the rabbit hole of TWA Flight 800. The aircraft in question was a Boeing 747 manufactured by Boeing in July of 1971. The aircraft was originally owned by Eastern Airlines, but eventually purchased by Trans World Airlines. The aircraft was set on a route that would take it from John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City to Leonardo da Vinci Airport in Rome, with a layover in Paris. As a side note, leading up to the incident, it had been noted that the aircraft had numerous VSO-related maintenance write-ups in the weeks before the accident. On board the flight included 18 crew and 20 off-duty employees. The crew consisted of 58-year-old Captain Ralph G. Kevorkian, who had 18,700 flight hours, co-pilot Stephen E. Snyder, 57 years old, who had 1,700 flight hours, and 63-year-old flight engineer Richard G. Campbell with 18,500 flight hours. All three had been with TWA for over 30 years. Along with the front-end crew and flight attendants were 212 passengers, 152 of which were American, with the rest being of various other nationalities. Of the total passengers were several notable. These included American composer David Hogan, German fashion photographer Rico Pulhman, and American crime victims' rights advocate Pam Lychner. The flight was a normally scheduled flight. However, on this day, it was also intended to be a training flight for Kevorkian, who was to be monitored by Snyder. So according to the research that I looked up, Snyder actually was the legitimate captain, whereas Kevorkian was actually the first officer, but he was, I guess you could say, doing his final run in training to be a captain. As previously mentioned, it had been noted in the maintenance log that the aircraft had numerous VSO-related maintenance write-ups. On top of that, the ground maintenance crew had reportedly locked out the thrust reversers for engine number 3 due to technical issues with the sensor. After final checks and fueling was complete, the flight pushed back from the gate an hour late. The aircraft proceeded to take off, all the while receiving changes in altitude assignments. The weather was reported to be light winds with scattered clouds. According to reports, the last radio transmission from the flight occurred at 8:30 p.m. 30 seconds later, the captain of Eastwind Airlines Flight 507, along with many other crew, would report seeing an explosion. Other witnesses reported hearing a loud explosion and seeing a large fireball along with burning debris falling into the ocean. Somehow, someway, TWA Flight 800 had exploded mid-air, making it at the time the second deadliest accident in U.S. aviation history. Shortly after the accident, various civilian, military, and police search teams reached the supposed crash site, but found nothing. Once an official search was launched and official teams deployed, the U.S. Attorney General would join the investigation due to rumors of the incident being a bomb or surface-to-air missile attack based on witness accounts. Official searches were conducted by federal, state, and local agencies, as well as government contractors. Victims and wreckage were recovered by scuba divers and ROVs. The cockpit voice recorder and flight deck recorder were recovered 1 week after the accident by U.S. Navy divers. The remains of the victims were transported immediately to the NTSB laboratory in Washington, D.C. The controversy over this accident comes in the form of what caused the accident. More than 95% of the wreckage was recovered, but the question still stood, what caused the aircraft to explode? Accounts from witnesses brought about several theories. Was the aircraft shot down? Did it just explode on its own? Did the explosion have anything to do with the previous mechanical write-ups? Several theories that will come about from the analysis was in-flight breakup, structural failure and decompression, missile or bomb detonation, fuel-air explosion in the center wing fuel tank. In the end, the NTSB would conclude TWA 800's accident as, quote, an explosion of the center wing fuel tank resulting from ignition of the flammable fuel-air mixture in the tank. The source of ignition energy for the explosion could not be determined with certainty, but of the sources evaluated by the investigation, the most likely was a short circuit outside of the CWT that allowed excessive voltage to enter it through electrical wiring associated with the fuel quantity indication system. So basically, fuel tank rupture. In the aftermath of TWA Flight 800, a memorial was dedicated on 2-acre land site at Smith Point County Park in New York on July 14th of 2004. As for the wreckage that has been kept for 25 years by the NTSB, it was finally completely destroyed at the end of 2021. Now, something I did not mention is that from what I read in the report is the NTSB had a deal with the family that no part of the aircraft at all would be recycled to be used for other planes, any kind of landfill or anything like that. The entire thing would be completely destroyed once they were finished with it. And as promised, that's exactly what they did. This is why I said even though the case itself is old. It's just now getting its closure as of 2 years ago. Now, as for my own thoughts on what I think happened, I feel like it definitely could have had something to do with the fuel tank explosion, because when you look back at the evidence that was put forth as far as the maintenance report and how they kept mentioning things as far as the fuel and what was going on with that, I definitely can stand by the theory of tank rupture. So even though the case is now officially closed, the memorial site is there. I'm not sure. I have to double check if it's public access or not. If it is, I believe it is because it's at a park, but you never know. Some people, they may want to keep it as just a private thing. If it is public, I will put a link down below if you wish to go and visit and pay respects to the victims and remember those that lost their lives for this particular flight. But other than that, let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree with myself as well as the NTSB that it was a fuel tank rupture which caused the entire aircraft to explode? Or do you think it was a missile? Do you think that something else may have happened based on what the witnesses have said, that they saw a fireball? What do you think? Even down to saying that there was a spark that had been seen going up in the sky. So let me know in the comments down below what your theory is and what you think happened to TWA Flight 800. If you like this video, please make sure you do give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends, family, and other aviation enthusiasts. During the month of October, again, it is Spooktober. If you have any other cases that you particularly would like me to cover, let me know down in the comments below. Or you can shoot me a message over on Twitter at DragonPink07. Don't forget to follow me as well. But other than that, welcome to Spooktober. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.
Never say for